and welcome to Gaia's Library. I'm your podcast host, Francesca Catlow, and today I will be interviewing Hannah Lynn, author of The Women of Artemis, which is all about the Amazons. This is an incredible book, and I can't wait to get started. So let's join Hannah. Hi, Hannah. How are you?
I'm really good. Thank you for having me here. And thank you for
You're
you choosing
welcome.
the book for your book club. I'm very honored.
I'm honored to have you say yes. I literally love your writing, as you all know, because I've told you about 100,000 times. But I have to say, how I'm going to start is with a negative.
Oh.
Yes. And it is that I can't pronounce any of the names in the book. This is going to be really hard because I instantly just make up other names that I can maybe say in my head. So you're going to
That
have to
is what
help
I
me
do as well. So it's okay.
out.
It is okay. Like, yes,
You're going to
the
have to tell me how you
pronunciation.
say the main protagonist's name. So let's start with that.
Otrera.
Otrera. Okay. Did I say it right?
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like I'm back in some like Greek bar, and I'll tell you who it is. He won't even watch this, but I can just see this guy, Nico, literally telling me, "You're saying that wrong. Saying that wrong." And I keep saying it again. He's like, "No, that's still wrong." And now I have all the paranoia about saying anything Greek because
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I
Wait, say
don't
it
think
again
my
for me. Say it
pronunciation
again.
is perfect, but Otrera.
Otrera. Otrera. I was not saying it like that in my head at all. Otrera. Otrera. Okay, so that's a good start. She is a wonderful character and one that has to grow through so much. But what I'd like to also ask you, other than how to pronounce the names, is how much of this book is you and how much is myth?
So this is more a me book than any of my previous mythological retellings. So the other ones have been based on various sources, but when it comes to the Amazons, there is so little that we have of them. We have the little pieces that fit into other people's stories, and I use those pieces to build Queens of Themyscira, the previous book that I wrote on the Amazons. But I still wasn't done with them, and I was like, I want an origin story, and there's lots of bits about possibly where they came from, and Otrera being married to Ares, and obviously Hippolyta and Penthesilea being Ares' daughters. That bit is there in the myth.
Yeah.
And the Gargarians as the separate male tribe again. But the rest of it was a me fiction.
Which is really amazing because this book has so much detail and is just absolutely incredible. For anyone actually watching on YouTube, you can see it over my shoulder along with some other of Hannah's books. You can see them there. And I lined some up. So like, where did you? So obviously, I read Queens of Themyscira like a few years ago when it came out. Well, I listened to it, which I still count as reading, which meant I knew how to say more of the names, although I've forgotten how to say them now. I still struggle. I swear, even in my head now, I'm going like, no, I've instantly forgotten how to say it because I kept saying it so wrong in my head that now I'm stuck on all the wrong set ways of saying
Well,
things.
my husband can finally say Penthesilea, and that is only because we have named our dog Penny. And I convinced them. I was like, Penny's a really good name. Penny's a really, and they eventually we all agreed on Penny, and I was like, I
The
was like
real.
Penthesilea. I was like, what? I was like, what did you think Penny was short for? Like, whatever.
I love that we both have dogs that we got this year named after because as is Adonis. So it's like I love the Greek.
Yeah,
I
it's brilliant. So
just love it. So I guess like obviously you had this like core from writing Queens of Themyscira and like getting into the mindset of the Amazons, but like how did you get the idea for obviously you wanted to do an origin story, but how did you get the idea in the first place to then like build from all the main topics within it?
there were certain points that I had to sort of hit in that, one of the versions is they are this sort of this village that fights up against their men. So I had to get to a point where they were capable and ready to do that, because that isn't going to come from nowhere. And then again, it's a big stage to go from there to becoming actual fighters and warriors. So it's again finding the journey that would take them from these women who are now on their own to the next stage. And so it felt like looking at the stages of their development
Yeah.
and her development and what would happen to take them through that.
Was she a made-up character? Say her name again for me.
Otrera. So she is the mother of Hippolyta and
Of
Penthesilea
course,
in
yes. So yeah,
mythology.
you had
Yes.
that as a
So
question.
I have her there. Yeah.
You've done so much with the, like her as a development that I guess I feel like she is your character because although you've taken that name, I like the fact that you were getting her to do the hard work jobs and being told to like you okay, you're good, you have a talent, you're good at archery, you have this one core thing that you're good at, but what else? Like build your muscles, be strong enough to take that somewhere. And I love that you were thinking about, okay, how do we get this character from A to B? And it was so clear, the journey was so well written and so well thought out.
Thank you. Yeah, I am very much that as a mindset as a person as well. It's like, okay, if you can do something, how are you going to work on it? We can all develop in different ways. And what I wanted was for her to facilitate that for the others as well was sort of hugely important. That, okay, just because
Because
one person is naturally
yeah,
gifted, that doesn't mean the rest of you can't, whether it's the riding the horses or the whittling the arrows, the rest of you are going to have to put in a bit more work to get as good as them, but you can.
yeah, she was really just there and inspiring them.
And I think she's inspired by them as well. I think that's something else that makes her relatable is she does appreciate what the other women bring to the group. And because she knows she can't do this on her own.
Yeah,
It's not a case of her doing this. She's very much a reluctant leader at times.
yeah,
So she does call upon the others. And I think that's, familiar and what or we all need to do it sometimes. We can't do it all, no matter how much we want to. We do need others.
definitely. And I think yeah, as you say, she was inspired by the women around her. And I think seeing her trauma reflected in other people is what really made her want to be stronger. It wasn't just about her trauma anymore. It was about seeing the other people she loved being hurt. Like when it's one thing taking it on yourself, but when she could see it reflected back at her. And I think that was really clever what you did because as you say, this is more of a your retelling of like very much you. And I feel like all of that was you creating something completely new and fresh with it all.
Thank you.
I
I'm hoping I made you cry a bit too. Don't know if you did. I cried more writing this book than I think
I
any other.
I read that at the back of the book. Where you said I made sure I read everything, and I was like, I can see that. I can.
There is one death. I don't know if you can tell
Yeah,
which,
we'll keep the spoilers away, but yes,
but
there's a few for me. There was a couple of times I was like, in my head, because I actually know you, I'm going like, Hannah, how dare you? Killing off the people I like. And oh my gosh, the heartbreak. But even that makes me then think about the weirdly, then I just want to also think about the horses and how they are characters within themselves and how even when you lose a horse, there's an emotional connection to that. Like even for people who aren't horsey and have never owned a horse, I think you've done such a good job of character like bringing
oh,
character to the horse.
sorry, I'm just disappearing down here. This is my paper version of like when I was working on this, and I actually had Erebus's death in this one towards the end, sort of
Really?
balled in that, writing that
Yeah.
was that and that one didn't make it into the final
I'm kind of
cut.
glad about that, not gonna lie.
Pardon?
Glad about that. I'm not gonna I'm like, no. Just
But that killing hit, I was like, and it was strange because when I did that, I was like, oh, he's her true love.
oh my God, yeah, there is
And it
definite
was
element.
just this moment where I was like,
Soulmates. It's like a
yeah,
soulmate
yeah.
thing.
And
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes I don't realize things until I write them, and I'm just like, oh
Mm.
gosh, yeah, like I'm crying this much because she loved him that much.
Yeah, of course.
And
Yeah.
yeah, that didn't make it in. So if you're not a fan of the weepy killing bits, you should should be
I
great for the editor.
and didn't because that would have I've been tortured enough and I read the book, it's a really big book and I read it so quickly, it's probably the quickest I've read a book of that size ever. I mean I am getting quicker in my reading, as you know, I'm not the fastest reader on the planet, but I just devoured it. I mean I was lucky, I was on holiday so I actually got some time to read it in
Oh,
Greece, which was even better.
amazing.
Yeah, which was amazing. I want to talk to you also about like empowerment. So one of the questions from the readers was like, Was it that you went out with the idea of bringing empowerment to the women, or did it happen naturally within the story and you thought, wow, this is massively about empowerment, or were you intentionally bringing empowerment to the forefront?
No, I think it happens. It has to happen naturally for their sort of progression and their character development. It would have been possible to write it another way, with them sort of more the victims
Yeah.
of the circumstance and sort of that happening, particularly with when Ares comes into to play and how she manages that relationship. Um, but I think yeah, for me, the character as she developed, it was very much how she stepped into this role, how she wanted to own um that power and be so empowering for the people around her.
Yeah, I mean, it did become just like such a massive important theme for anyone reading the book. Okay, so one of the other questions I got asked to ask you was how did you feel writing the women suffering in the first like half of this or first third or whatever of this book? There's a lot of suffering, there's a lot of abuse, there's a lot of trigger warnings going on, um, which isn't a spoiler. It happens from almost page one. We're already aware that this is like going to be happening to characters in the book. How did you feel going into that? What did you feel when you were writing? That was one of the questions.
So, as you know, I write lots of books in lots of genres.
Yes.
And one of the things is when I am writing one of the mythology retellings, I cannot do it on its own. I have to be writing a light-hearted rom-com at the same time
Right, okay.
because then I can't deal with so much of that. And when it gets to a point where I have to leave it, I then go to my rom-coms and I'm like, oh, let's write a meet cute. Oh, let's write, a misunderstanding trope. Let's do something like that. Because otherwise, I would easily emotionally burn out
Yeah.
from that. And that's the same in all of them. They have these underlying themes that you can't avoid because that is the mythology that these stories are based around.
Yeah.
But they are not easy to write. And so whereas if I'm writing a rom-com, if I'm writing in a fantasy or thing like that, I can just sit at the computer all day and write it. The
Yeah.
mythology retellings are not the same. I have to take breaks from them because otherwise it does just wear me down.
I can totally understand that. Reading it was there were times it was really hard to read because it is so well written. You really feel for these characters, you really feel their pain, I feel afraid for them. I'm sitting there feeling like anxious, like, oh my God, what's gonna happen next? I'm really scared for these characters. And even when they're, think that things are changing and they're coming through things and making their own lives, it's never easy for them. It's never straightforward. Um, you know, it's hard because it's not the sort of book where you go like, and happy ending, da, da, da. But it's just such like I think it's like an important book to read. I one of the questions I was actually going to say to the end, but I feel like fits in now is like, how do you want modern women to feel when they're reading this book as a whole, the whole piece?
I think, like you said, it is that empowerment, it is that choices you make. And when you feel like you're in an impossible situation, there are still choices, and they might not be the perfect ones. They might not be the ones that, you would take if there were unlimited options,
Yeah.
but take a step. Just don't stay stagnant, I think is it. Like if you need to move out of that, just keep taking steps.
I think
Um,
that's important.
I think that apply, for me, I think about sort of workplaces and environments that have been toxic, and the option is what you stay there
Mm.
or you don't. And I remember like quitting a job with no other job, um, which wasn't the situation I wanted to be in,
I,
but what was the option? It's like I had to move forward in some way.
yeah.
And that wasn't the way I wanted to, but it was the only way I could. And yeah, sometimes moving forward, even though it doesn't feel right, is better than staying stuck.
Yeah, because they were all stuck in this book. And I think it is although it's not reflective of people's modern lives, I think the themes, unfortunately, for many are still very, very relevant, particularly for women. I think, that's why empowerment was so important to the questions that were asked and put forward from the readers. That was something like a reoccurring theme is, giving people options, as you say, and making them see a light out of darkness. It is I'm sure for many it would be a really hard book to read, but I still feel like I would always recommend it as an important book to read. It's well written, it's got beautiful characters within there. It might be hard emotionally, but I think it's completely something that people of today should be reading and thinking, how does this reflect? How does this mirror? It's different, but like, how is this still relevant?
I think that's so important with all these mythology retellings and the retellings that are coming out today. Is the reason they are so popular is because there are those themes reflected and mirrored so much. The same in Athena's Child, the same in Queens and Spartans. Those they are still reflected today, and it's taking on board, how far we've come in some senses, but really how still stuck we are in others, and how to try and break those cycles.
Yeah, it's in when you see it from those points of view, it becomes really like, wow. And like I say, I would continually recommend anyone who is watching this and hasn't read it, pick it up because it's a really important read. One of the other questions we had was, were your main characters inspired by anyone? So not just like mythologically anyone, but just anyone, like anyone you know or anyone in the real world.
The only one that I would say probably is Philae,
Right.
um, who is the owner of the tannery in the
Yeah, I
town.
have not been saying her name right in my head.
That's how I've been saying it, but
Yeah, no,
uh,
that's cool.
I know File Philae. However, it's probably File. Um,
No idea. Maybe. I don't know. That's how I said it in my head.
we'll go for File. We'll go File. Um,
It's probably not right if that's what I'm thinking.
she is she's the owner of this tannery, and her life, Otrera's life, would have been very different
Yeah.
had she not been there. And that is probably somewhat subconsciously, but still undoubtedly, based on the first boss I ever had,
Really?
who was the owner of the sweet shop,
Oh,
upon which my Sweet Shop of Second Chances book, which I'm trying to look, I've only got the audio version there, because all my books are upstairs.
oh.
Um, yeah, that was the first job I had. And my boss then, she has only recently um given up the shop now after running it for over 20 years.
Wow.
I actually had a book club do send me photos because they had done a book club excursion staycation to Borkum on the Water to the sweet shop where they had gone in, explained to the new owner there all about this series set in this book.
That's
But
adorable. I love that so much. I mean, talk about
amazing.
like avid like fans. That is just wow. That is
It's
committed fan.
I get a lot of photos from there, but I've never had people deliberately do a road trip, a book club road trip,
Wow.
which is amazing.
That's
Um,
incredible.
it is pretty awesome. But Nina, who was the owner there, who was my boss from when I was 14 to sort of 17, um, yeah, that is who she's based in. She was just a role model, is just a role model, um, just just a good person,
What
such a
testament,
good
though, 'cause
person.
in the character in the book, if like someone said, "Oh, that was like based on you," I'd be like, "Oh, thank you
Yeah.
so much." What a compliment on so
Yeah,
many levels. That's wow. That's really cool that that is actually the character that is most closely matching to someone in real life. Wow.
she's
Do they
kind of.
know that, or have you told them that?
I've not told
Oh,
them
we
that.
have to send them this podcast and be
Uh,
like, "Hey, I mentioned you."
yeah, I think I have told her. She does know that I consider her just a massive inspiration in my life. I mean, I did really want a sweet shop, like because careers week. I was like, what do you want to do? I was like, have a sweet shop, write books. They're like, neither of those are really viable careers, Hannah.
Ah, you showed them.
Got to get the sweet shop next.
Sure, if anyone could, you could.
Tried telling Jake, but he's not convinced yet. But yes, I would
If
say
you don't know who Jake is, that's her
my
husband.
husband.
Yes.
And actually in that inspiration, I would say that any good guy, how have I forgotten his name? How have I forgotten my man's name? Not
No,
Hurtus.
I know who you mean because I literally was so in love with him.
Not Hurtus. What is your name? Oh my goodness.
I
My
know,
brain
I know who you
gone.
mean. But I literally can't say any of their names. And like I said, I devoured this like at the beginning
Leon.
of the month. So all the names were so hard for me to remember, but I know exactly who. I
But both Cleon and
Yes.
Hurtus, if ever I have a genuinely good guy, and there are always genuinely good guys in my books, that really matters to me because my books are never man hates as some people sort of want to joke. They're not. There are good men, there are bad men, there are good women, there are bad women. But whenever I have a good man and I need to embody a good man, my husband is it for
He is
me.
lovely, to be fair. Jake is really wonderful.
He is a wonderful man. He is, he I would not be here. I would not be who I am without each other. I think we would both agree that we sort of lift each other up to be the best versions of ourselves. He puts up with my mess. I put up with a house full of Lego and Star
You
Wars.
didn't say Lego. That was my first
So,
thought. Lego.
okay.
There are
So
worse flaws than Lego, let's be honest. There's worse things to spend your money on than Lego.
there are. He is good. So yeah, whenever I have a good male role model, it's him. And again, I don't know if he knows that. I'd like to think he
Should
does.
know. I think when I'm like, I think, he is a good guy, and there are elements like I'm reading it and going like, about you too, because I know you're the so I'm like, ah, thank you. Um, well, we can't really talk about a Greek mythology without talking about the gods. I feel like, well, firstly, let's backtrack a tiny bit. Obviously, you write Greek myths. You could have written mythology about, Norse gods, or there are many other mythology out there. Why for you specifically Greece?
So it was a growing up holidays to Kefalonia, to Ithaca, to that was what I grew up with very much like, and so it is embedded in my childhood like that. I very much remember my big brother telling me when we went to Crete that the Minotaur does still exist. He does only eat 9-year-old girls, and I should be aware of that. Actually, I was probably younger than that. I was probably about 6. And I really remember that. I remember, yeah, the sobbing to my mum and dad and the telling him for winding me up. But so that's very
Did you
much,
go to the ruins there? Did you get? Yeah, I've been there. Knossos, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
a long time
Gorgeous.
ago. A long time ago. And I keep meaning to get back, and I have planned it several times, but
We should
writing
go
several times.
together.
Can we do that?
Yes, I
Can
would
we
love
do
to
that?
do that. Just
Okay,
organizing that on a podcast. We should
let's
actually do that.
yeah, okay. We could do a podcast.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
Greece. Let's just
yeah,
do that.
let's do one.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have been wanting to go back to Crete. It's been a while since I've been to Crete, and Crete I do love. And I was 17 when I went there with my friend, and she was 18. And we sat down, and the travel rep was like, "Oh, do you want to do any excursions? Like back in the day, to sit there and maybe we still do that, but I always book independently now." And we were like, "Yeah, we've got two." And she was like, "Oh yeah, the two bar crawls." And we went, "No, we want to go to Spinalonga and Knossos." And she burst out laughing, thinking we were joking. And we were like, "No, we actually want to." And she was like, "Oh, okay, I'll organize that for you." And like so red. I was like, "Yeah, the 17 and 18-year-old girls." She's like, "Yeah, we're not getting drunk in Malia. We're just gonna hang out at all the geek spots because that's who we are."
I love ruin, like there were some amazing ruins when we lived in Jordan, Jaresh and things like that were just, yeah, just lose yourself in. And Jordan was great for that. You just randomly find places, and it'd just be like, just stop, let's get out, let's go and see what this is.
Like you have to touch everything, or is that just me? Like, I feel the energy of like stuff, like old buildings or old ruins. Do you feel like, do you have to go out? Is that just me being weird?
I do feel it. I've got a funny story with Queens actually, where we were in Duresh and Jake, well, actually, well, it doesn't need to be Queens, it could be this, but I was writing Queens at the time, and yeah, Jake was like, "Oh, do you want to come and see this?" I'm like, "No, I'm with Princess Leia and Hippolyta right now. I'm here. Just leave me, just leave me." And I was really overwhelmed by it. And then I got home and I was still in the researching stage, and I was trying to work out where the Gargarians came from, and just opening up all these random things. And there was one that was like they could have come from as far south as Duresh,
Oh,
and I was
wow.
like, "Ooh, this feels like a moment I definitely need to write this book."
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, but yeah, we can't talk about Greek mythology without talking about gods. I'll go back to that
Oh
first
yes,
thing that I
yes.
mentioned.
Sorry.
So, obviously, this is a very different mythology retelling book, but you do have gods. And what I really liked throughout is you have this little wink. I was a really dodgy wink. Anyone who's watching this, I could just like the weirdest little wink at you. A little wink. Um, all throughout of like Aries and whatnot, like he like we're gonna come and see you, you know, because anyone who because I didn't know I did well, I suppose I did from Queens of Themyscira, I knew certain amounts. But it was like a couple of years ago since I've read that. So it wasn't like fresh in my mind. And I'm sort of going like, I sort of know certain things, but I sort of forgotten because you do, don't you? You know something, then you go,
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. And I'm going like, oh yeah. And like because there's something about this book that feels so real that I kind of like when it got to like the gods part, I'm like, oh, and there's gods in it. So that's like, I don't know. It was almost like I was so in a reality in this book that I'm like, oh, and then there's some gods. I don't know. That sounds like a really weird thing to say, but I do feel like how because you did bring it in. You had these little like winks, as I say, all throughout, and foreshadowing. Let's be more writery about it. Foreshadowing. I am an author. I do know the words. I don't know what's coming to my head, but I do know them.
Words are difficult.
Shadowing, which to me is a wink. Because I was like tabbing I grabbed my book. I've got my little tabs going on. I could have tabbed everything.
And
It's had to be a bit.
I love the color coordinated tabs in the book, but I'm not gonna lie, like that. Oh, perfect, perfect.
Look at it.
Oh,
Good.
look
I
at
know.
that.
I'm even wearing my bracelet. I've got my Brave bracelet
Oh, you don't. Mine's right
on.
next to me. I should have put mine on.
Yeah, should have. And even the chocolate, wasn't it? Chocolate,
The
really?
chocolate was amazing. Well, I messaged you going, "Oh my God,
Yeah, that chocolate's so good. I'm like, yes, that is true. Yeah, I was really pleased. Well, you can thank Paige, who helps me organize everything for the beautifully matching book tabs and things
Oh,
like that, because she's got an eye for detail. So yeah, I can't believe. Sadly, I don't get to because she's in England, and so she organizes the nuanced elements. So she's really great for that with the Gaia's library stuff. But yeah, going back to the gods that I'm like tabbing up with the winks. Um, obviously like this is a very different retelling, so how did you feel having to like get because you like you said you had these like almost bullet points you have to meet to like line it up, but then once you've written all of this empowering women stuff and you're like, ah, she's got to go meet a god now. How did you feel
yeah.
to that point?
Yeah, it was kind of like because I had to get there.
Yeah,
I had to get there, but I mean, one of the things about the gods is we already know they're very flawed, right? They have those human characteristics about them. So in that sense, it is like writing another person, but with just slightly different abilities, and I try to keep them sort of subtle within it. And like you said, I tried to have the foreshadowing with the stories and with various things going through. I want that so that you're aware that they are coming. And a lot of that sort of power behind his god is the things he knows as opposed to the things he does as well. So sort of we get the power through that way. And again with my gods, with Ares, I did want to sort of show a slightly different side to him because he's not just the god of war.
I liked that he wasn't like a two-dimensional character. He was very much like, yeah, there's that, but then there's this part of me, and I like the way you did that because you could so easily fall into, we all do it sometimes. You fall into a trope, or you can fall into just like a really cliche idea, and you didn't at all, which I really liked.
Thank you. I mean, it makes me laugh because in Daughters of Olympus, I don't know if it was my previous
I
book.
haven't read that one. It is on my TBR. That is one of the
So,
things.
you know what? I think you would love it because it's all the way over there, because it's a mother-daughter relationship. And
Right.
it's the two sides of those ones. But with that one, like with Hades again, I really didn't want to go down the stereotypical Hades route. And I wanted to make it nuanced, and I was determined out of, given all the romance books around Hades and Persephone, that this was not going to be that. He was not going to be this brooding,
Yeah.
stereotypical, shadow daddy that everyone loves. Um, and yeah, I still got reviews on loving him. I was like, what in more Hades? What in more Hades? I was like, I
You
like the
tried.
other side. I like the other side. Just, some people love the God of the underworld. So
Can't help it. You love what you love. It's a really fabulous book. All of your books are wonderful. Do you have any like what are your upcoming projects? Like have you got any more mythologies in the works? What are you up to right now that we might want to hear about?
I have lots going on because as you know me, I always
Yeah.
have lots going on. There's mythology is in the work, but it's a background one, so I there's no sort of pre-orders, no current title of anything available. That I'm actually working under a pen name with another author on a large romantasy series, which is coming out next year, and which is very big. I'm continuing to write my rom-coms.
Hold on, pause. That's on pre-order, isn't it?
It is on
So
pre-order.
can
Yeah.
we have a name
It's
for pre-order?
called a Web of Vows and Vengeance.
There you go. So if you want to pre-order that, there's this. And then what else are we up to?
Then what else have we got? I have got my romantasy, or not romantasy, my romance series. I've got a Highland Hall series. I've got the third book coming out soon in the Highland Hall series. And then I also write under Ella Stone as urban fantasy. I've got new series coming out in that.
Ah,
Um, yeah, there's always busy.
always busy.
Always
So
busy.
talented. So
It's,
talented.
but I will say, like I always do, it's one of those things that I work fast because I sort of taught myself. I very much put that into the Otrera. It's one of those, I keep going at it. I love what I do so much, and I feel so honored. Like at least once a day, no matter how tired and achy and I am, I will sit at my computer and be like, this is my job.
Yeah.
Is this my job? Like, this is the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
Um, and it's that complete love and desire to do this forever.
Yeah. There's no
That
retiring, is there, in being an author? Did you know an author who's ever actually retired?
oh
Does that
God,
exist?
how can you? Because there are so many stories I want to tell. But I just know that I'm so privileged. I don't want to ever take that for granted. And I am like, okay, I'm working on something else. I want, as long as there are readers who will want to read my book and there are stories I want to tell, like I have no intention of slowing down.
Well, I'm happy about that. And keep writing these myths for me because I do really adore them. I love all of your books. You're just a very talented individual, and we adore you for it.
You right back at you, my darling. So
That's very kind. But thank you for joining us. And you have a newsletter, subscribe to all that, and people should
yes,
check it out. Yeah.
yeah, Facebook, Instagram, the TikTok, the lot. You
Yeah.
you
They
can
can
find
find
me.
you
Look, you'll
everywhere.
find me. Um, yeah, then
Thank you so
thank you
much for
very
coming and
much.
chatting to me today. It's been really lovely, and I'll speak to you again soon.
Can't wait.
Thank you for joining me at Gaia's Library podcast. Please remember to hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed this podcast. And we will be with you next month with another incredible author, but I can't tell you who yet because it's a mystery until you open it. So if you haven't joined us with the mystery book sent straight to your door with all the amazing goodies, then please head to guyslibrary.co.uk to find out more. See you next time.